Welcome back. Well, the newly listed Chapel Hill Denham Nigeria Infrastructure Debt Fund has formally begun trading on the FMDQ platform. Let's see how this bond is trading so far today, and I'm being joined by fixed income dealer with Access Bank, Adedimeji Idris. Good afternoon, Adedimeji. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
The first infrastructure bond debuted today. What is the subscription level so far?
Okay, from what we gathered is 5 billion for the first one, and the Chapel Hill Denham has the approval to go up to 200 billion on this particular fund, but for this initial issue, they are staying at 5 billion, and this fund will be deployed to the financing of infrastructure in Nigeria generally. So for now, it's still pegged at 5 billion naira.
And what will this listing mean for the debt markets going forward?
Okay, it's essentially for liquidity, because listing it shows that there's enough liquidity on that security, and it gives the investors some form of comfort that anytime they want to get out of the investment, there's a market, there's enough liquidity, and there's available channels to exit the investment at any time. So listing it creates some form of investor confidence in the fund.
All right, let's look at today's trading session, talking about the treasury bills and, of course, the bond session. How has the yields been performing today?
Okay, for the treasury bills market, which is driven largely by the liquidity of the market, on Friday, the CBN paid in tariff fund into the market, so they were seeing some buying in that market on the short end of the curve. So yields have been dropping slightly in the treasury bills market today. Then after the OMO auction, there was OMO auction today, where the CBN offered 5 billion of the short term, then 50 billion, which was also about 20 billion of that was sold. So that is what has been affecting the market. After the OMO auction results, the activity improved in the market, and the treasury bills market has really been a bullish market all day. While the bonds market has been relatively quiet based on the trend that we've observed in the past couple of days, even with the release of inflation figures early this morning, the expected reaction in the market, we didn't get the expected reaction in the market with the drop in inflation to 16.1%. So the bulk of the activity has largely been in the treasury bills market.
Okay, and of course the week has just started. What is your outlook for the rest of the week?
Okay, for the bonds market is largely an order-driven market. So for the rest of the week, we predict a very bearish market, some selling here and there across on the long end of the curve. So we see a slight uptick in yield on that side. While the treasury bills market is, if this liquidity from Paris fund persists, meaning there's no OMO auction, there's no severe mopping up from OMO auction and SMIS by the CBN, we still see the buying continue. So we'll just see a slight drop in yields on that side.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Dimeji. In the meantime, the federal government has completed plans to issue 150 billion naira worth in green bonds over the next few months. The pilot issue of 12.38 billion naira will be done in the third quarter of 2017, with the balance running over the course of the budget year. The Ministry of Environment says the projects are required to be included in the budget approved by the National Assembly and assented to by the President. Some of the projects include the Energizing Education Program for 9.5 billion naira and the Renewable Energy Micro Utility for 475 million naira. In the meantime, the London Stock Exchange has indicated willingness to provide necessary guidance to the federal government to achieve this objective. And in Zimbabwe, the Agricultural Marketing Authority will next week issue $80 million in grain bills to buy maize from farmers. AMA, a government agency that is tasked with marketing agricultural produce, will raise the money to buy the grain through another state entity, the Grain Marketing Board. Grain bills are bonds specifically meant for purchasing maize and are guaranteed by the Zimbabwean government. And in the meantime, Zimbabwe's inflation rate slowed to 0.31% year-on-year in June from 0.75% in May. On a month-to-month basis, prices fell by 0.24% after increasing 0.03% previously. The International Monetary Fund has forecast that inflation in Zimbabwe will quicken to 7% by December and to 10% by the end of next year. And a recent hike in Egypt's fuel and electricity prices, part of the government's 3-year plan to cut subsidies, is pushing many Egyptians who are already struggling from rising inflation to the limit. In June, Egypt hiked fuel prices by up to 50% to help meet the terms of a $12 billion International Monetary Fund loan deal. This was a sharper rise than expected by many Egyptians already struggling with inflation.
In a once bustling Cairo shopping street, many businesses have now shut down or are operating at reduced opening hours. Sitting outside their shops, owners complain that soaring living costs have resulted in fewer customers and less spending. The fuel price has affected businesses and customers alike as transportation costs of basic and luxury goods increased, causing a hike in prices and less spending.
Business here is very slow. There is no selling at all. Like before, there was work and movement and stuff. But now, there is nothing at all. Now, we are barely able to cover our costs.
Government officials say spending cuts will help revive an economy where subsidies have accounted for about a quarter of state expenditures. But austerity carries risk for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi as inflation and a contested deal to hand 2 Red Sea islands to Saudi Arabia have eroded his public standing.
The decision that have been taken should have been carried out over many years, but it gave them out to us all at once, and this shouldn't be. We understand that this is economic reform, and it needs to be done. But it should have been taken in several stages. It can't be done all at once.
Blacksmith Ateya Hada worries that the latest measures have pushed Egyptians to the limit.
Man, the population has added. What citizens? They are done. Our pockets are empty. That's it. There is nothing left. We are left to sleep next to our women and let them go out and make money. That is what is left.
And on that note, that we wrap up today's edition of the program. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.